Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for the Granite Falls School Board, Districts 1, 3, and 5. I am your moderator, Vicki Roberts Gassler, member of the League, former president, and currently the secretary. Candidates for the Granite Falls School Board are Thomas Giblin and Jennifer Adams for District 1, Carly Kincaid and Jeff Balentine for District 3, and Carl Cary and Heidi M. Johnson-Sandel for District 5. All candidates have been invited to attend. Participating candidates are Jennifer Adams, Jeff Balentine, and Carl Cary. While not all candidates are present, the League recognizes that this is a significant election and seeks to give voters information on the issues in play. The League thanks all the candidates for running for office, for their willingness to serve the community if elected, and for participating in this forum. It is the policy of the League to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or political parties. We do take positions on issues which we have studied and on which we have reached consensus. The ground rules for this forum were sent ahead of time to the candidates. Let me briefly explain the question and answer period rules. Opening and closing questions have been shared with the candidates. Other questions have not been shared. However, we have made each candidate aware of the issue areas this forum plans to cover. And we thank all community members who sent us recommendations about local issues. I will pose the questions. Each candidate will have 60 seconds to respond. 90 seconds will be allowed for answers to the final question. I will state this change clearly. We are using a countdown timer visible to all candidates. It shows elapsed time and alerts candidates when there are 15 seconds left and when time is up. Time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. When you see the timer turn red and hear the chime, you're done. I will change the starting order for each question, rotating through all the candidates to ensure a random and fair sequence. The order for the first question will be Mrs. Adams, Mr. Balentine, and Mr. Cary. First question to Mrs. Adams. What qualifications and experiences make you a strong candidate for this position?
All right, well, first I'd like to thank the League of Women's Voters for inviting me to speak tonight. My qualifications are that I represent a non-traditional education path. I have experience as being homeschooled and also going to private school. My public school experience comes through being a parent of a student here in the Granite Falls School District. I understand the need for different approaches and structures and listening to the voice of parents, students, and the community. My experience is that I'm college educated. I have work experience involving systems and procedures and being able to communicate clearly and effectively. Previous small business owner with strong leadership focus. Also prior youth group and children's church leader, as well as volunteering in the community and organizations that focus on youth development and mentorship.
Thank you. Mr. Balentine, what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this position?
As well, I'd like to thank you all for hosting and allowing us all to be a part of the candidate forum. So thank you for that. Over the past 35 years, I've had an opportunity to really build organizational leadership skills. I've managed educational training programs for the military. I was a substitute teacher at Granite Falls Middle School, Crossroads High School. And I also created and ran a business from one person up to 1,500 employees. I'm a proud veteran of the Armed Services, and I have substantial work experience with local government to include school districts, port authorities, county, and city government. I have a bachelor's degree in business management and worked directly for the Granite Falls School District as their business and finance director. And I certainly understand how school district finance and accounting work. In addition, I'm currently working for the city of Granite Falls as the deputy city manager in charge of all finance and HR functions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cary, what qualifications and experience make you a strong candidate for this position?
So previous to the school board, I spent 2 years as a planning commissioner for the city of Granite Falls. I've been on the school board for 8 years, and I'm currently the longest serving member on the school board. 2 of those years I spent as the board president and led the district through the retirement of our previous superintendent and the process of hiring a new superintendent. 3 years I spent as the community liaison for the board, where I represented the district by attending Chamber of Commerce meetings, community coalition meetings, and key communicator meetings with the school district to help ensure that the families we served are informed about the things happening in the school district. The past 2 years, I've been the legislative rep for the board, where I work on bringing attention to the attention of our representatives, the error in our regionalization factor and the resulting inequities and per student funding resulting from that regionalization factor. I've worked with our various labor groups to negotiate and execute multiple contracts, worked on getting a bond passed for the new STEAM building at the middle school and the stadium at the high school, and utilized my financial background to help the district improve our financial foundation.
Thank you. Second question, beginning with Mr. Balentine. What are the biggest challenges facing your school district and what are its greatest strengths?
I think some of the biggest challenges are really trying to get our students back in the class as soon as possible and in ways that excite them and get them heavily involved and caught up. Last year was extremely tough due to the COVID environment. So that's first and foremost is really strengthening the educational system and programs to help our students survive and do well in life. We also need to really focus in on our financial condition. We should never have any month that goes in the red. And I really want to help the school district get through that. And finally, recruitment and retention of our great teachers, supporting staff, janitors, student support, bus drivers, maintenance, and groundkeepers. We've got to create a positive learning environment. And that includes everybody, including students, parents, and staff and teachers alike. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cary, what are the biggest challenges facing your school district and what are its greatest strengths?
So I'll start with the strengths first because those are great. I'd say first off, Dr. Josh Middleton, our superintendent, is a great addition. Our teachers, our outstanding teachers who love our community and live in our community, our CT options, and our college and the high school. The issues are the return to in-person learning after almost 2 years remote, dealing with the impacts of COVID in the learning environment, the uneasiness of the vaccine mandate for staff, and the growth boom that we are seeing right now. So any of those things in and of themselves are challenging. However, we currently are having to deal with all of those kind of at the same time, which is really the reason why I'm running for another term. I mean, we cannot afford to lose any time or ground getting new board members up to speed. We're going to get 2 new board members, but we need people like myself that have the background to help give mentorship to new board members as they come on.
Thank you. Mrs. Adams, what are the biggest challenges facing the school district and what are its greatest strengths?
I think the key issues are coming up with a more inclusive curriculum, looking at state minimums and seeing where we fit nationally. As others have said, staff retention through supportive training, proper wages and benefits, adapting to the growth in the student body and in our community, navigating student and public safety while returning to in-person schooling. And I think the strengths are the district's adaptability. They are pretty open with their communication and there's a strong community focus.
Thank you. For our third question, we will begin with Mr. Cary. How can schools best address academic and mental health needs arising from the pandemic?
Great question. So one of the ways that we are addressing the academic foundational holes that happened during the switch to virtual learning is a platform that we invested a heavy amount of money in called iReady. And iReady is going to give us the ability to kind of see those foundational educational holes kind of in real time and be able to address those again in real time. But really the best way overall is to keep kids in school. So we're working hard to follow all of the COVID mandates, the masking, social distancing, the grace ability so that we can keep kids in in-person learning because we all know that's the greatest way to be able to educate our kids.
Thank you. Mrs. Adams, how can schools best address academic and mental health needs from the pandemic?
So supporting system development and engagement, coming up with alternative learning plans, providing opportunity and access to all, creating individualized pathways for students who may have fallen behind during the pandemic or have had lack of access to internet, and finding out what the students need, how we can support them and assist them. And then for mental health, I think partnering with the community and with healthcare professionals to bring them into the school to be support for the children.
Thank you. Mr. Balentine, how can schools best address academic and mental health needs arising from the pandemic?
You know, it's really about engagement. It's really about relationship, really understanding each and every student and parent and the overall environment, the learning environment. Each learning environment has to be a positive and exciting one. It has to be one that you feel comfortable and trust in. And I certainly strongly believe, as was brought up before, but creating educational plans that are flexible and adaptive and are really tailored to each individual student. It's not just a piece of paper, it's actual real communication, real engagement, real relationship. And if you can do these things and then tie into the resources that are available, much like Director Cary was talking about, but apply some of the resources that state and the federal grants have provided for COVID relief and apply that for mental and certainly for educational enhancement to try to get these students back up to speed. Thank you.
Thank you. For our fourth question, we will begin with Mrs. Adams. What is your strategy for working productively with your board colleagues and members of the public whose ideas are different from yours?
So taking time to understand the context and perspective of others, not taking offense to their opinions, listening with an open mind. I think focusing on commonalities more than differences. We all have a common goal, which is to support the students. Building relationships through clear and thoughtful communication and interaction in order to work productively with others. We need to have a relationship and common respect for each other to be able to work together.
Thank you. Mr. Balentine, what is your strategy for working productively with your board colleagues and members of the public whose ideas might be different from your own?
I absolutely concur with candidate Adams on this. Collaboration and accountability are crucial, and we have to respect and listen to everyone, all of the key stakeholders. We have to work with them and help build our educational structure based on that valuable input from our students, our community, our teachers, our staff, admin, and other stakeholders. Our focus always and our compass really should be set on being student-centered at all times and create the very best and unbiased educational opportunities for our students to give them the best chance to really achieve their dreams. The school board is instrumental in bringing together stakeholders to create vision, objectives, goals, standards. But this process has to be consistent, it has to be routine, not even once a year. It has to be a fluid object, and it's really bringing in together all those key stakeholders and giving everybody a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cary, what is your strategy for working productively with your colleagues, your board colleagues and members of the public whose ideas are different from yours?
Yeah, so this is something I think I really excel at. I mean, as I said earlier, I've been on the board 8 years and have a really proven history of working collaboratively with other board members. There's been a number of board members have come in and come out. Obviously, there's been 4 board members have changed in my time. But also, I think that one of the things that you would hear about me from the community is my accessibility and my ability, my willingness to be able to listen to people. And, you know, I try to meet people where they're at. So there's tons of times that I will have discussions on Facebook or, you know, walking through the local grocery store. People will call or their email. I make a point to respond to every single message I get, whether it be in person or email, even if I don't have the answer, to be able to let the person know that their comment or their concern didn't kind of fall through the cracks. And really that accessibility and that listening is my strength.
Thank you. Fifth question, we will begin with Mr. Balentine. This year, the Washington State Legislature passed Senate Bill 5044, which seeks to dismantle institutional racism in the public schools by investing state resources to do two things. One, identify model standards for cultural competency, and two, provide ongoing training of teachers, aides, administrators, and school board toward the goal of increasing equity, diversity, inclusion, anti-racism, and cultural competency. What is your response to this bill?
I'm absolutely in support of the bill. I think we have to level the playing field for everybody. We have to do everything we can in order to provide educational programs and teaching in an unbiased way to every one of our students in a way that helps them, again, achieve their dreams. Listen, it's one of those debate subjects that you hear quite a bit, and there's a lot of activity on, because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings. But the way, as I understand it, is that we're trying to create a fair and a balanced way to make sure that all cultures are represented and everybody can receive education in the best way that's suited for them. And that way they can, understand more and be able to take that and translate that into their own success. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cary, what is your response to the bill, the Senate Bill 5044 to dismantle institutional racism, etc.?
Yeah, I support it. One of the great things that we did, I think, recently, I was a member of a equity and diversity committee, and we were able to come up and draft a new policy, equity policy 0529, ensuring educational equity, which is our belief that diversity in the Grand Falls School District is a strength. The policy removes the barriers and fosters an inclusive environment where every student is educated, prepared, and inspired to graduate and meet their full potential. A realization rather that education isn't necessarily equal, but has to be equitable. It requires annual updates to the board on the progress of that policy. And we're really focused here in the Grand Falls School District of eliminating the isms in the educational environment.
Thank you. Mrs. Adams, what is your response to the Senate Bill 5044?
I think it's great. I think it's needed. I believe we need to focus on the data. We need to listen to the community members and the students and the experiences that they have. We need to ensure that the students have a voice and that they feel heard. We need to work together to alleviate barriers while centering decisions with the families and students to provide what is needed to create a more equitable system. Thank you.
Thank you. Sixth question, we will begin with Mr. Cary. What criteria should be applied when determining curriculum content for each grade level and study area?
Well, we have a really good instructional material committee that reviews our curriculum and makes recommendations to the board. I mean, obviously, curriculum needs to meet the state requirements and needs to be powerful curriculum, but there's a lot of curriculums out there, and there's a lot of conversation around curriculum, and I don't think there's enough conversation directed to powerful teaching. And we have some extremely powerful teachers that make extremely good relationships with their students, and because of that relationship, students care and they try in their classrooms. So, I mean, curriculum is certainly a piece of the puzzle, but focusing on hiring, retaining powerful teachers that make those connections, that make good relationships with kids, I think is as powerful, if not more. So balancing those two is definitely challenging, but it's certainly something that I think that we have done well in this district.
Thank you. Mrs. Adams, what criteria should be applied when determining curriculum content for each grade level and study area.
So I agree with Director Cary. I believe that we do need to look at the age groups, and we really need to focus on bringing the teachers into it, getting their professional experience and their perspective on what they think is the right curriculum to be teaching the kids. I also think that we need to look at those individual learning plans and bring those in as well. That's also part of it. And I think that there needs to be more communication with parents and being able to find what curriculum is being used.
Thank you. Mr. Balentine, what criteria should be applied when determining curriculum content for each grade level and study area?
This is a tough one, and I'm going to jump into it. Look, any research that you do on our district, we have great teachers, we have great parents, and great students, but the issue is that we still continue to fall in the lower quartile of state scores, and this has been consistent. I don't think it's a lack of intent or drive to try to improve it. So this question is absolutely imperative that we figure it out. And I think by putting together committees of parents, teachers, our great teachers, and others from other school districts, colleges, universities, trade schools, even industry here within the state of Washington and even outside of it is absolutely essential, and make sure that it is tailored to each one of the grades. So we're not talking over the student, but helping them grab a hold of the curriculum and actually taking it to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you. We reach our 7th and last question. You will have 90 seconds to answer this final question, and here it is. What additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of the community? Beginning with Mr. Balentine, then Mr. Cary, then Mrs. Adams. Mr. Balentine.
As a district, I think we need to focus on providing our youth with a safe, secure, and nurturing environment where students can get excited about the many paths they can take in order to achieve their dreams. In addition, the district must partner with students and parents and consistently look to provide unbiased education that hits all the common notes of Common Core life-building skills and sees emerging educational programs that provide our students with job-building skills that are here, they're now, and they're also emerging. We need to support our teachers, our staff, and our administration in ways that attract and retain the very best. But we need to do that in a very fiscally responsible manner. I think we really need to start peeling the onion back on other than labor-related expenses, because I think that we have opportunity there to take some of those resources and apply it back to our youth. Our community has consistently demonstrated their commitment to our youth. We need the leadership that does everything possible to build our students' pride, enthusiasm for possibility, enhance their skills, thus their opportunity, whether it's skilled trade or further education. And again, I want to thank this forum for allowing us to speak today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Cary, what additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of the community?
Well, I think first I want to thank the community for their trust in me these past 8 years on the board. I certainly don't take my role or position for granted, and I work hard every day to really try to provide the best educational opportunities for the Granite Falls School District. I also just wanted to quickly talk on regionalization factor, because specifically on the Granite Falls School District, we really get a tough turn on the regionalization factor. Regionalization factor is the percentage of regionalization that the state applies to student funding. And there's a couple of things that are pretty significant, and I talk about it all the time. We're one of only 9 school districts in Western Washington directly adjacent to another school that has a 10% or greater regionalization factor. We're only one of 2 school districts that's directly adjacent to 2 or more school districts that have regionalization factor of greater than 10%. An increase of 6% would give us another $818,000. We've worked hard on the board to maintain and to grow our fund balance. By the end of this next school year, we should have approximately a 5% fund balance, but there's a lot more work to do. I certainly didn't step into this role to be a politician. This isn't a stepping stone to another position. I work hard every day for the people in Granite Falls. Granite Falls is my home and has been for the past 15 years. And I really think that our mission statement of individual development of each student is important.
Thank you. Mrs. Adams, what additional issues or information would you like to bring to the attention of the community?
So I'd like to just bring up the lack of transparency of policies that are not easily accessible to the public. I think we need to have better, I know they're working on the website right now, but I just think we need to have more accessible website where we can see what's going on and not have to dig for information. I think we need to raise awareness of the CTE and STEAM programs through marketing to the community and students, partnering with our local businesses and before and after school programs. I think we need to give the parents and guardians and the community an opportunity to review the curriculum. I think that's really important and people are asking for that. We have an opportunity to work together to make policy decisions that better the experience for our young people. I'm deeply passionate about education and the children and also this community. And I want to work hard to gain the trust of everyone and listen to issues, concerns, and just be the ear for people to come to. Thank you.
Thank you. So the League appreciates these candidates for joining us and for running for office. A recording of this forum and others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and on our YouTube channel. Find links at lwvsnoho.org. We encourage you to explore additional information about these and all candidates. The Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed to residences starting on October 13th. Vote411.org, sponsored by the League of Women Voters, is another good source for nonpartisan voting information. Finally, general election ballots will be mailed on October 14th, and Election Day is November 2nd. Please vote. This concludes our candidate forum. Again, thank you all for joining us.